Good evening, everybody on Facebook Live. It is great to be here with my friend, Pastor Dr. Paul Barreca. I think we both have a little different background. This is my new home here in North Carolina. We have been down here for about a month now, and it's great to be on Facebook Live with you, my friend, talking about our awesome Hike Israel tour. Why don't you greet everybody?
Great to see you, Jason. Thanks for inviting me on again and for taking care of these things. I never knew this particular tool you're using, but it's a great way to stay in touch with our friends and share about the Israel trip. Yeah, this is a unique experience. I am getting super excited about our trip to Israel. A very, very unique trip to Israel. Lots of people get to go to Israel, but like 1% or half of 1% ever get to do what we have scheduled for March of 2023.
So what do we have scheduled?
Well, this is a trip that is going to emphasize hiking rather than riding a bus through Israel. So the standard Israel trip, you sign up, you fly over to Israel, you get on a bus, you drive to a location. You corral off the bus like cattle in a cattle stall, and you get through and you see some things, and then you get on the bus again, and you do that, and it's great and it's awesome. And I'm in fact I'm going to do one of those trips in October of 2023. But for the first time I went to Israel was 2011, and my first thought on being particularly in the Galilee was that man, I would love to come back and just go hiking or canoeing in the Galilee and throughout the land of Israel. The funny thing is, when you take a tour to Israel, the tour guides all say, now today we're going to run where Jesus walked, yeah. But we are literally going to walk where Jesus walked. The highlight of the tour, Jason, is the 60K Jesus Trail that we're going to cover. It goes from Nazareth to Capernaum. And we're going to cover that in 4 days of hiking. And the great thing about that is that this is really a beautiful, lush, particularly in March. March is the spring, And we all know how dramatic spring is. You're a New Jersey guy, or you were a New Jersey guy, but whether it's New Jersey or North Carolina, East Coast, North America, spring, things come to life. In a desert climate, spring it's explosive. It is the most beautiful time of year, and we're literally going to be walking through these national parks and places where we're going to go to Caesarea Philippi, where Philip made his great confession, "You're the Christ, who do people say that I am? You're the Christ, the Son of the living God." And we're going to take that trail over 4 days. So that's the biggest single chunk of it. And you can kind of see we're going to be in Cana of Galilee, where Jesus turned the water into wine. We're going to be at his birthplace in Nazareth. We're going to be at Magdala. And when we get to Magdala, we're going to tour a 2,000-year-old remnants and archaeological dig of a synagogue that was just discovered in 2009. It's a major archaeological discovery. Jesus was at that synagogue, as well as the synagogue in Capernaum, and just amazing. We're going to be able to do, and do that with an Israeli guide, and with you and me giving Bible studies along the way. It's just going to be awesome.
It is going to be awesome. Like you said, it's not like your typical tour where you're hopping on the bus and you're going. We're going to be moving at a leisurely pace. We're going to be, you're going to have to be in shape, but not be able to run a triathlon. But, I would encourage everybody, to start exercising, start walking about 10 miles a day. Where are we going to be staying? About 10 miles a day, correct?
Yeah, that would be that's our longest day, is probably a 10-mile day. So just one thing, when you hear about a hiking trip, now for me, I'm used to hiking the Appalachian Trail. You and I have done trips with our boys to the Algonquin, where we carry our food and our tent and all that stuff. This is a little bit of a blend. This is kind of like glamping, I guess you might want to say, right? So we have hotel lodging or hostel lodging. It will be private rooms for you and a friend, a spouse, or a couple of guys or a couple of gals can share the room together. Private bath. So so it's not really roughing it. And each day our luggage will be transported to the next location. So we're just carrying during the day. We're just carrying basically water, plenty of water, probably at least, I would say at least 2 liters of water per person. So you got to figure that's about 10 pounds of water you're carrying. So carrying our water and then maybe a snack or something like that. But we're not carrying food or tents or sleeping bags. We get to the end of the trail. We get brought back to the hotel. We wake up in the morning. We get brought back to the place where we ended, and we hike on from there. And that's the Jesus Trail portion. So a little bit of glamping, but it will allow us to travel further every day and to get more sightseeing in. The longest hiking part is the beginning part when we're doing the Jesus Trail, because we've got to cover that 60K in 4 days. So you might have some 6, 7, 8 mile days. Maybe one of them is an 8 or 9 mile day. Nothing more than that. If you're in shape and you can walk a good distance, you can walk a couple, 3 miles uninterrupted without, being broken down for the next day. It's great for you.
So those first 4 days or so will be up in the Sea of Galilee area. If you go to israelhike.com, you'll be able to see a full itinerary. So we're going to spend a little bit of time up in the, like you said, Caesarea Philippi, Tel Dan, but then we're going to be on the Jordan River one day.
Yeah, I've never done this. We are going to float. I'm not sure I think it's tubes. It might be inner tubes. It might be canoes. I'm not sure what it is, but we're going to float down the Jordan River. Now, please, I don't want any disappointments. It's not whitewater rafting.
Colorado River. Right.
It's not the Colorado River. It's a 45-minute, an hour float. It's, I don't know, it's a mile or so. The Jordan is not a huge river. Right. This is in the tributary waters leading off of Mount Hermon. Yeah, but how cool is that to be in the Jordan River? And I'm not sure we're going to do it that day, probably that day. But if you want to get baptized in the Jordan River, Jason will baptize you. I can baptize you. And you can say, wow, I was baptized in the land of Israel, in the Jordan River. That's pretty cool.
Gonna be awesome. Then we're gonna head down to the southern region, into the Judean wilderness, and Getty. Tell us about what we're gonna be doing there.
Yeah, so let me just share a couple of pictures. We're going to. Whoops, I got to share the screen here. I forgot about that. So we're going to be seeing. Let's see. Sorry, I forgot how to do that, Jason.
Okay.
There we go, and share. Okay. So this particular picture is from the top of Masada. And when we go to southern Israel, there are two central things we're going to do. And we're going to spend a good portion of each day at one of these locations. This is Masada, and you're looking east toward the land of Jordan, across the Dead Sea, into the Jordan Valley and the modern day land of Jordan. What I'm pointing to, in fact, my right hand is pointing directly to the land of Moab that we read so much about in the Old Testament. And so, this is the top of Masada. To get to the top of Masada, we're going to wake up at the break of dawn, probably before dawn, and we're going to climb up this 2,000-year-old path that Josephus, the Jewish historian, named the Snake Path. 2,000 years ago, this was the only way up to Masada, and they did it this way so that the Roman army couldn't come and conquer them. All the Jews on top of Masada had to do was roll stones down, and of course, by the time the Romans got up to the top there with their spear and sword and shield, and well, they would have been just exhausted. Well, we're going to do that at the break of dawn and get to the top of that mountain and have this view, and then we're going to explore the mountain of Masada. It is an amazing archaeological site. Jason, there is a cistern, which is a place where they held water. There is a cistern that is about 100 feet deep, 200 feet long, and 50 feet wide. It's like the belly of an oil tanker, and we climb down that thing. And it's just amazing. That's where the water was held and what kept the Jews safe and alive all those years. And we're going to have some time exploring Masada. But this right here, this is En-Gedi. And that's me in the bottom right-hand corner recording my friend Kirby when he was teaching. But this is En-Gedi. And it looks, oh, great. It's, it's lush. This is the middle of the Judean desert, but it's a desert oasis. This is where Saul hid from, this is where David hid from Saul. This is where David escaped in the wilderness. There's waterfalls in En-Gedi. There's 7 of them. And unlike the normal tour where you jump off a bus and have 45 minutes to look around, we're going to have hours to hike the miles and miles of trails in En-Gedi and see all of those waterfalls. I want to see all 7 of them. That's my goal. I want to get in and see all 7 of those waterfalls there at En-Gedi. So those 2 are the major points of interest in southern Israel.
Yeah, this is going to be a trip of a lifetime. If there's anybody that's joining us online right now and you have any questions, go ahead and post your questions in there. We're not going to keep you long, but we wanted to answer any of those questions. We want to talk about a little bit of the timeline for getting our registration in.
Right. So, Jason, I'm glad you brought that up because, we've planned this trip. Actually, this trip was planned for March of 2022. And Israel was, when we were taking reservations and registrations, would have been November and December of 2021. Israel was still closed, particularly for unvaccinated tourists. So we had to cancel that trip in March of this year, and we've rescheduled it. So we've had a lot of time to think about it, but literally now is the time you've got to register. November 30 is the deadline for registration, and that is a $300 registration. You can cancel that and get, I think, $200 of that back. So most of it is refundable. But then when you get to January 3, your balance for the trip is due in full. And so I would encourage, if you're thinking about making this trip, you're really only putting $100 at risk by registering now. Yeah. And Jason, you and I are expecting this trip will fill up. We will limit our trip. We will not take more than 30, even though the bus holds more than 30. We will not take more than 30, just simply because on the trail, we don't want to be so spread out. We want everybody to have a great time together, to hear you and me and the guide talking. So the max size for this is 30. And beyond that, you're going to miss out. So I would really advise you put the $100 at risk, make your reservation now, and then you'll have just the balance to pay by January 3rd, 2023.
Yeah. Well, we've discussed a lot. If anybody wants to reach out to you, how do they reach out to you or me, either here on social media, or they can call you?
Yeah, they can call. There's my phone number. Probably the place where, if you're going to remember one name, it's israelhike.com, because all of the information, including the reservation and Jason's email and phone number and my email and phone number, all of that is on israelhike.com. So type that in, click your star or whatever memory button it is for your, remember that website or like or love that website, and put that in your memory, in your stored websites. And that's the place to go for all the information. And for sure, this is the kind of thing, if you've got questions, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Jason. The one thing to remember, this trip comes, you're paying one price, $3,500. That is your airfare. Listen, airfare is almost a half of that cost. When you think you're taking a 10-day vacation, your airfare is included, your hotel, your lodging, your meals, the transportation, the guide, and the tips for the guide are all included in that price. I know for some that's a big chunk of change, especially some of our young friends that want to do this hike. They're all like gassed up about it and they're ready to go. But that is really a phenomenal price. There are Israel trips, 10-day Israel trips. They usually are about, they start at 5,000 and go up from there. So if you've ever thought about visiting Israel, if you like hiking, and you want to have a really in-depth kind of experience in the land of Israel, this is the trip to do.
And it's going to be a great, great time. So if you're thinking about doing it, go ahead and register today at israelhike.com. Send out any questions that you have to us. We'll answer those questions. It's going to be a wonderful time. Go ahead and start reading through the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and just start preparing your heart. We're going to be walking in the footsteps of Jesus, and it's going to be just an awesome time of growing and having fellowship one with another. And we want you to come and join us.
Starting in December, we're going to start giving out some reading assignments and books. One of the books will be The Jesus Trail. There's a really great guidebook on the Jesus Trail. Great to read that. The things you'll see will make more sense when you do. And then there's a really great devotional book, 30 Days in the Land with Jesus. I think you might have seen that one, Jason. Fantastic book by, I think, Charles Dyer is the author
I have both of them right here. I've been looking at them.
Great book, and just covers some of the key sites we're going to see. Reading over the itinerary. One of the things I love about taking trips, I think the preparation is a big part of the excitement and joy of the trip. And so I've done, Jason, you and I both worked in youth ministry. We've both led tons of tours, mission trips. So we kind of know the dynamic of how to make the most out of it, and doing the legwork in advance makes it so much more meaningful. And not just a 10-day trip, but really months in advance. And then even afterwards, we're going to be sharing pictures and stories. So it really is a massive lifetime experience we would love to share with you. israelhike.com. That's the place to get started and get your registration in as soon as you can.
Well, it was such a joy catching up with you again. And for those who are watching now or watching later, and if you've ever desired to go to Israel, now is your time. This is a trip of a lifetime, walking in the footsteps of Jesus on the Jesus Trail. We would love for you to join myself and Pastor Paul Barreca. God bless you. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in Israel. Shalom, shalom.
Thank you, Jason. Shalom. We'll see you soon on another Facebook program.
Sounds good, brother. God bless.